Hey everyone, Ken here. Before we get into the show, we have a quick ask of you. We're actually asking all of our guests this month what the first horror movie that they saw that actually scared them, and we're curious what your answer might be. So if you have a good recommendation for the first horror movie that scared you, we would love to hear from you. If you could write in at overtalkingpod@gmail.com or call or text us at USACat1591. All of the info is in the show notes. We'll be compiling all of the answers and playing them after Halloween in the first episode of November. All right, well, we can't wait to hear from you and enjoy the show. All right, Zach, we please have a spooky-themed word.
Gourds.
Gourds. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
I've got my gourds. I think we're at a 5 gourd count in this household.
Oh, dang. We're up to 3 at this point.
3. Oh, step it up, Ken.
We're getting better. Yeah.
We need some more gourds.
We need more gourds. We got more pumpkins than gourds at this point.
Oh, okay.
We got a couple of those pimply gourds.
Oh, very pimply. The pimpliest of gourds.
The best. Hang on one second. Hey, welcome to the Overtalking Podcast with your hosts, Ken and CJ. Say hi, CJ. This is the show where we talk over TV shows and movies as chosen by our guests, but it's still spooky month, so we're talking about Paranormal Activity, keeping with the found footage juggernaut theme that we have going.
Juggernaut, really?
Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity are like two of the biggest found footage movies ever.
Well, I have some things to say
If
about
not
that.
the two big. Oh, really? All right. Well, yeah. I'm curious. What do you think's bigger than these two?
Oh, I don't know. In found footage, I couldn't name another one. Cloverfield? Does that count?
That counts. I think that counts. Is that horror?
Hardcore Henry? That's like a first-person one, not really found footage.
Hardcore Henry?
The entire movie is you're a first person. It feels like a video game.
That's an action movie,
yeah.
Right?
But
yeah.
we're talking found footage of like cameras and stuff, and
that is not. There's no way that's bigger than Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity, though.
No, I'm just naming other movies.
Damn. Halloween Ends comes out this weekend.
All right, is this actually going to be the last one?
I hope so. The reboot series sucks.
Oh,
in my
okay.
opinion.
Dang.
I bet our guest has some opinions on this, actually. Should we bring him on?
Yeah, please.
All right. We have returning guest Zach from the Have To Podcast coming back on once again for Spooky Month. What's up, Zach?
What up?
What's up, you sons of bitches? I don't know why it's taken so long. We're not even friends anymore. Every time I come on, which is annually, I just clown you two for pretending to be my friends and not being my friends. Also,
don't pretend that we don't play Mario Party every week.
Dude, I don't know the last time we played. We tried once and then we just like Zoom chatted. It was weird.
Yeah.
Like nothing
twice,
worse than
I think,
digitally
right?
socializing.
Yeah, we tried a couple times.
Yeah.
Or more than that, yeah. My bad for those other times. That was my fault, but we don't have to get into that.
I don't know what's happening, but I can't change the volume coming out of my headphones, like with you two dudes. So you're screaming into my head, and I can't turn it down. There's no way. So just know that
turn
you're
down
like
the volume on your computer.
I tried. I did that. It's like literally no volume, but yet you're still screaming into my noggin. So there's nothing I can do about it.
Is this loud too?
Yeah, that's horrendous.
We're gonna love our sound effects for this record. This is gonna be great.
You're just going to see me do straight diarrhea when you do like one of the real intense screams. You know, it's just going to flush through my system.
Yeah.
You know them. We've had the same ones for years.
The same
I know.
ones.
Zach, what's your opinion on the Halloween reboot series? Or I guess not reboot, but whatever it is, you know.
The reboot of the reboot. What's that dude's name? He's got 3 names. He always works with Danny McBride, Gordon Green. David Gordon Green?
David Gordon Green, yeah.
Is that his boner name? I don't know. I have no opinion. I saw the first one, didn't see the second one. You told me it was horrendous, and I was like, I'm not watching it. If Ken thinks it sucks, then it's got to be terrible. Because Ken, you like some shitty horror stuff, you know? And I do too. So, like, we're on the same wavelength. But if you're telling me that is very bad, it has to be, like, the lowest of tier horror film.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The first one was fine, I guess. Kind of boring. Second one, garbage. Real dumb. So I can't imagine Halloween Ends is going to be any better, but fingers crossed. But at least it's over then, right? Because it's the end. So
So they claim.
I'm sure they won't make 15 more of them after this.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you really going to watch it? You're watching it? Like, you're actually excited to do it?
No, I'm not excited to do it, but I will do it for science.
He's a completionist.
Yeah, I have to know. I made it this
Jamie
far. I
Lee
watched
Curtis-
every fucking other Halloween. I have to watch
How
it
many
too.
are there? Like 15?
Too many.
There's eight, including... No, there's 8, then there's the 2 reboots, and then these 3, so there'll be 13, I think.
Good God.
Okay, it kind of has to be the best one. If it's number 13, come on.
Yeah.
Right? I know. It
Big
still kills
mistake.
me that there's 12 Friday the 13th movies. They haven't made that 13th one yet.
See, oh God, when was the last one? The last reboot attempt? It
10
like
years
wasn't
ago.
bad.
10
or
years
was
ago.
it bad?
It was. I didn't mind it, actually. I thought it was fine. It was a reboot for sure, but it was fine. But
right, hold on.
Friday the 13th
The-
has been in legal hell for the past 10 years. The director and
I'll
original
see you
writer,
in court, bitch.
Yeah. Jason goes to legal hell.
Isn't that next week? Friday the 13th?
It's Friday the 14th this year. Yeah.
I meant, aren't we doing that as one of the episodes? Are we watching the movie Friday the 13th?
No, we're watching Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm
next
Street.
week.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. These are all the same in my mind. You can't keep them straight.
God damn it, CJ.
It's all one name. Just plain Freddy. That's not a scary name. Freddy's some kid you went to middle
Dude,
school
he's the
with.
scariest of characters. I almost picked that movie because like that was the first one that scared the shit out of me, but I didn't want to. I also didn't give Ken that option though.
That was not on the list yet. You had actually said, I think you were going to say, I Know What You Did Last Summer was going to fit the bill. So for those who may have missed last week, the theme this year is the first horror movie that like actually scared you. And I think, yeah, does I Know What You Did Last Summer fit the bill for that then?
Unfortunately, yeah, that one was like actually scary. I gave the story the last year because we did that last year, right?
Right, yeah. So then you gave a couple other options, and one of them was Paranormal Activity, which I will ask you why in a second, because we're going to talk about Paranormal Activity more coming up on the Overtalking Podcast.
High def camera on. My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
I think we're gonna have a very interesting time capturing whatever paranormal phenomena is occurring or is not occurring. Windows are locked, doors are locked, the alarm is on. I'm hearing a weird sound.
Something's here. I feel it breathing on me.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
And we're back on the Overtalking Podcast, joined once again by returning guest Zach, and we're talking about Paranormal Activity. Zach, we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock for you to describe for someone who's never heard or seen the movie Paranormal Activity what it's all about.
Ready, go.
Dude, everybody knows about this bullshit movie. I don't have to explain anything. I don't even want to. It's about a couple that lives in like a mansion, and it makes no sense because one of them is a student and the other boner is a day trader, and they're haunted. And they like the weird horny husband is just filming everything that goes around them because he wants to catch the demon on camera, but like oddly doesn't believe that anything's happening, but also does believe that something's happening.
What? Time.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Before we dive into how just an awful of a human Micah is.
Okay, good. We're on the same page there. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, no, of course. Zach, why this movie for probably one of the first movies that you remember that scared you?
I need to correct you real quickly because the man's name is Mika, which is
Mika, yeah.
insane. And that's the man's real name. Mika. But like, I don't know about you two dudes, but we always have subs on our TV, and I just kept reading Micah in my head, but they kept saying Mika, and I was like, this is terrible. Took me out of the movie immediately. Why did I pick this feature-length film? It stands out to me. Well, I should take a step back. The first thing I said to Ken was we're doing a Goosebumps episode, which was technically a movie because I had it on a VHS. It was The Haunted Mask, which is a 10 out of 10. I have not revisited as an adult human being, but I loved it as a child. I saw CJ nod. Is that something you would have liked to have done, Siege?
No, it was just that I got several texts of like, this is his pick. No, wait, this is his pick. Okay, now this is his pick.
Dude, you know what? You can eat me. The Haunted Mask scared the hell out of me. That truly would have been my pick. But then it's like, I know what you did last summer, but we did that together. And then it was some Friday the 13th, whatever that is, Nightmare on Elm Street. Terrified me, couldn't sleep on my back for the first 10 years of my life. And I was like, I don't want to see that and ruin myself again. And then I was like, okay, so there are 3 feature-length films that stand out to me as like things that scared the shit out of me, for real. One was Paranormal Activity, and I'll get back to it in a second. The second was Insidious, the first one. There's that one shot of Patrick Wilson sitting at his dining room table, and then it's like Darth Maul sitting behind him, and that ruined me. And I feel like, CJ, have you ever seen that?
No, and I don't plan on it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I think it would ruin you, dude. I don't want you to see that movie. It's legitimately terrifying. Yeah. And then the other one that stood out is a movie called The Orphanage, which I've talked to Ken about our entire relationship. Like, since high school. It was Guillermo del Toro produced, en Espanol, saw it in the theater with my wife, girlfriend at the time, and it scared the shit out of us. And I recommended it so hardcore to Ken, and Ken watched it and was like, dude, that was boring. Yeah. And I was like, dude, Ken, you didn't watch it.
I'm remembering it correctly. I just remember these dumb little ghost children, and like, it was stupid. I don't know.
Man, it's
You
scary.
just described a big majority of horror movies, some dumb little ghost children running about.
Right. What's the difference between that and any other movie, dude?
Well, I was going to say, so out of those 3, then I replied back, I'm like, well, if I had an answer to my prompt, it would be, or at least the first one I can like think of, would be Paranormal Activity as well. I remember we were actually in a horror film class together at college when this came out. And I remember our professor, which is wild that there was a professor who taught this class, but it's awesome. And they said that it scared the shit out of them. And I was like, I have to see this. And it scared the shit out of me. And it's definitely one of the scariest things I've ever seen. So I'm more than happy to talk about it.
All right. So you probably saw it there's like 2 movie theaters in our college campus, so you probably saw it the same one. I'm fairly certain, I could be mistaken, I have the world's worst memory, but I think it was a double feature, and I think we snuck into Paranormal Activity. But the first one we saw was Where the Wild Things Are, which is like a children's film. And then we went into Paranormal Activity, and it stands out to me because the moment the movie started, I feel like the temperature in the theater went up 400 degrees. Everyone was immensely sweaty, and it felt like we were in a bog. You know, like it was damp in this movie theater.
Humid in the theater?
So humid, man. Like literally in the Everglades. I'm a sweaty human being. So put me in a sweaty environment, I am like, it looks like I just jumped into a pool. So I was like struggling through this movie, and I am scared shitless of horror things, especially pop-out parts. So like I'm, holding my hand over my face, peeking through cracked fingers, nervous as hell. And I just remember being so scared the entire time. And I remember our professor telling us that it was scary. And I remember seeing the trailers on TV, because that was still a thing when you like watched normal ass TV, not just streaming services. And it was one of the first, at least of the ones I can remember, where the trailers had like night vision camera shots of the audience, like scared shitless, screaming,
the first one
or
I
like
remember too.
Yeah, like clutching onto their partner sitting next to them, or just like looking around like, holy shit, like you can't believe what's going on. So like I went in fearful, like I was not originally a horror person, and my wife turned me into one. And it was legitimately a terrifying experience in the theater. I can tell you, it was not that in my living room as I watched this film the other night, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, we could dive a little bit into that. Like, I'm curious, CJ. You've probably heard about this movie, over the years as one of the scarier found footage films. I'm curious how it landed for you watching it. I'm assuming in full daylight in your living room.
Not my living room, but yes, full daylight for sure. Gotta say, the first part of the movie, Snooze fest. Pretty boring. But yeah, I also remember when this came out that the trailers were showing the audience reaction, and definitely had a will not be seeing that moment. I did get legitimate goosebumps at one part watching it though, where it finally picks up towards the end of the movie. I get that they're most of this is tension, right? It's just trying to build more and more. I just wish they had gotten to it a bit sooner. I think too, in my head, I was expecting, I don't know how to describe it, but I guess more of the woman being dragged down the hall parts. I thought we were going to see this guy be thrown across the room by nothing or something like that. So then when it starts out, it was oh, whoa, the door moved 2 inches. Oh my God. I'm okay, so is this the whole movie? There's just squeaky noises and stuff. Did finally pick up, which was good. But yeah, it's pretty boring. The majority of the movie, it only gets good in the last 20 minutes or so, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the things that you pointed out that you were kind of expecting to happen is kind of where they take the series in the later films, where there's a lot more of overt demonic interaction with human people getting thrown around stuff, because that's more what you expect. I think it really is. I hate to say it, it sounds so fucking cliche, but a product of its time. At the time,
totally.
It was the scariest fucking thing ever.
I was having similar, yeah, exactly, similar Blair Witch vibes of I think at the time this was super cool because there wasn't anything like this. But now in the year 2022, having seen it for the first time, it's not that great. There's barely anything happens. And yeah, I think, horror has only been elevated more and more.
Sure. Yeah, right. I still appreciate it. Zach, so you mentioned that it didn't land for you this time around, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the first of its kind. It worked at the time. You guys just said it was a product of the time. It was low budget. I think the studio picked it up and they reshot the ending because they were we don't like the ending. And I don't know if that's going to be a question in your shit, Ken, but you know what I mean? It was one of, I mean, I don't remember it other than I know for a fact that they reshot the ending. I don't even know what the other one was compared to what's actually in the movie. But, we've seen so much scarier stuff since then that dipping back into this, I was man, this is not good. What I totally forgot is that it's one of those movies, and I feel like a thesis could be written on it, but there's a lot of these horror films that are scary. It's they're scary based on the premise and the potential. You're sitting there waiting for something intense to happen, and what you're building in your mind as what could happen in that moment is way scarier than what the film actually produces. Yeah. In this movie, they pop a camera into an attic, a very small attic space. And the whole time I'm they could do the scariest thing in the world right now. And what they do is a whole bunch of nothing. It's there's a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay, sure, that's scary. It's your house burned down, but there's a weird old photo of you that's kind of toasty. It's been sitting in this other home for 40 years. Cool. But it's not scary.
Mm-hmm. But think about when you were watching it for the first time in the theater, they pop that camera up there. I'm sure you're drenched in sweat at this point, right? Because something's going to happen, even though it doesn't. It just keeps building and building the nothingness because something fucking scary is in this movie because you've seen the trailers, and you're oh fuck, is this going to be it? Am I going to fucking shit my pants at this point? And of course, no. But you feel, anxiety. I don't know. Of course, watching it again, that there's nothing, but
totally. But I'm happy to hear that CJ had an experience with it, at least at a point, because to me, I was sitting there so bored. And I know you said the beginning was boring. To me, the whole movie was boring. I thought the scariest part was when they found a spider in the bathroom. I was oh shit, that's like a baby tarantula. That would scare me if I go to the bathroom to take a urine and I see a huge spider like that. I'd shit my pants. Who cares about her weird, creepy smile in the bed? We were laying on our couch and my wife was I'm so scared of what's going to happen because she remembered vividly in the theater that when this woman is laying in bed and tells her husband, like, I want to stay at home, and he walks away and she cracks this like demonic smile because, you know, in that moment she's somewhat possessed or whatever. Like, my wife built it up in her brain so much that when it actually happened, she was like, oh, that wasn't bad at all. Like, none of that movie was scary to me. And I wanted it to be because I haven't seen it in so many years. And I remember loving it and being scared shitless. And not only was I not scared, but I thought that movie sucked.
God, it's such a bummer to hear, but I can't disagree full-heartedly. I do still like it. I still appreciate it, but I don't think it sucks, but I don't think it's great.
It's so slow.
I think it's, for someone who doesn't watch horror that does want a good scare and hasn't seen this before, maybe this is who it's for at this point. I don't know. CJ, were you scared at any point?
Yeah, there was one time, but okay, we've talked about this before, like, my qualm with horror movies, though, is I think jump scares are very cheap, and I hate them. Because anybody can walk up to you on the street and go, ah! And you're going to be like, Jesus, what the fuck? Like, it's built into humans. Like, that's an easy thing to do. And a lot of this movie is that. I get that there's a lot of tension building and stuff like that. But I was scared at one point. Definitely her, like, blood-curdling scream at, like, the last 5 minutes of the movie. It was like, Jesus Christ. Like, that one was, I was not expecting that. Because we hear her yell throughout the whole movie because she's freaked out and terrified. But that was like, oh, that was not her doing that or something. You could tell that was a different scream on another level. I want to jump to the ending already because that's where all the action happens.
That's fine.
I laughed when she gets shot. Did anybody else have that reaction?
What ending did you see? You saw an alternate ending, you sneaky devil.
I watched it on your Plex server again.
Oh, I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Oh.
You did not see the theatrical ending. You saw the alternate ending, which isn't the original. There's 3 endings, by the way.
Jesus.
You saw the alternate ending with the police officers? Is that the one you saw?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to describe for Zach? You probably don't remember this ending either. Can you want to describe the ending really quickly?
Yeah, so after we hear her blood-curdling scream, the guy leaps out of bed and like runs downstairs to find her. We basically hear him let out like one little sort of yell, and then we don't hear anything from him anymore. Clearly something has happened. She walks back up to the bedroom. You see a big blood stain on her white shirt, and she's holding a giant, like, chef's knife. Then she just sits down next to the bed and starts rocking, and the time stamp continues to the next day and even the next night. She misses, like, a phone call. Finally, her friend shows up, knows the alarm code, says, like, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Like, what's up? Clearly discovers Mika's body, screams, runs out the door. The police show up. She's still just rocking back and forth the bedroom. The police are like, hey, is anybody here? Oh my God, like, call this in. We got a body, blah, blah, blah. They come up the stairs. That's when finally she wakes out of this trance. She gets up and just starts going like, Mika, and is holding the chef's knife. And then so they shoot her because she's slowly walking towards them holding a big knife. And then it's like, and then my favorite part was we see them both get murdered. She gets shot by the police, and then on the screen you see dedicated to Mika and whatever the dedication slide. It's like, that's where you're putting that after we just saw her get shot by the cops. That cracked me up.
That is probably why they didn't use that in the theatrical
because it's
cut.
bad.
Zach, do you want to quickly describe the theatrical ending?
Dude, hold on. Did they change it because they just wanted sequels at play?
Yeah. Well, no. So I'm going to scrap one of the questions, but Steven Spielberg watched this and convinced the director to reshoot the ending. Because the original ending is different than the ones that both of you saw, which I'll get to in trivia. But it also didn't set up any sequels, but also wasn't super scary. And I think the scariest ending is the theatrical version.
Dude, that's scary? okay, hold on. Let me explain it because you did ask me to do so. So I guess it starts at the same point where she wakes up, goes downstairs, lets out that horrible scream that scared your pants off. And, oh, dude, that's going to come through my microphone. And I think I just lost 80% of my hearing in that right ear. Okay.
Sorry.
Lets out that scream. It's can't even think straight. And then, she throws Mika's body at the camera. Like she comes up the stairs,
whoa.
you hear some like pounding footsteps, even though it's just her. And then she throws his body at the camera, so then it like falls and is sort of like angled ajar. And then she walks in with the same bloodstained shirt, I would assume. And then she like looks at the camera and tilts her head a little bit and like gives like a demonic face. Like I think they put a little bit of CG on her face, and then she jumps at the camera, and then it ends. And it's like, and there's some like writing, it's like, we don't know where she is. We never saw her again except in Paranormal Activity 2. But it's weird because they never have credits. So they like stick with their game so hardcore that they're trying to prove that this is real that they don't even like give credit to directors, writers, actors. Not that there was an immense amount of human beings attached to this film.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was funny that it opens. It's like, thanks so much to the police department for giving us this footage. It's like, okay, come on.
Get out of here. Like, the weirdest thing to me, to make it a found footage film, it's like, okay, somebody collected all of that footage and, like, cut it together poorly. Like, there's so mmany slow fades.
Yeah.
How many fades can you put into a movie?
Coffee being like, I'm tired. It's like, yeah, I'm tired too. We got to get some sleep. This sucks.
Yeah. Like, why are you filming that? This is not supposed to take us out. We're supposed to think this is realistic. But, like, you're putting the camera there and showing yourself, like, sadly drink a coffee and eat a Danish. Like, or I think it was him eating cereal for, like, 4 minutes. I was like, this is an insane shot. Well, why am I watching Mika eat cereal?
I wrote down one of my problems with it, too, was, okay, how old would you guys say these people are in the movie? What age? Like 20s? 30s?
30s.
Okay.
I mean, she's a student, right? I thought it was 20s.
Yeah.
Oh.
So throughout the movie, we see all the timestamps of everything. So you're telling me these 20-somethings are going to bed at 12:30 a.m. and setting their alarm for 6:14 a.m.? Get fucked. You're not doing that.
And the alarm that woke them up, it wasn't at 6:14 on the dot. It was like 6:14:07.
Yeah,
and it's like
what? How are they setting that?
That didn't work.
Who said
like
that?
Good editing, bro.
6:14.
Right. Could have set it for 6 a.m. on the dot. It's not hard to fake it in the movie.
Yeah.
It's
the timestamp's
fake
not
already.
real.
It's a movie.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna keep going down my list of other problems I have. It
please.
When they finally he goes against her wishes and gets a Ouija board, and he's trying to like decipher the Ouija board movement, and comes up with a name, and they find this video of like a full-on exorcism, and they're watching this, and it was like, yeah, this is what happened to the last woman who had this issue. Just like, you did not need to show any of this. Like, we're already invested. We already think spooky things are happening. Don't then take us out by showing us this really lame fake exorcism thing. Also, all of us know of the movie The Exorcist. Like, that is in pop culture. We get it. You could have just mentioned that and like, that was real bad. And also, and we already said Mika's a terrible person. Stop telling her to chill or relax. That is the worst thing to say.
I think at one point he literally says, "You're too cute to be angry," or something like that. Like, it's just the worst.
Awful.
How horny was that guy? He was ready to get down on camera. He was like, I bought this crazy HD camera, which honestly looks like hell. Like, that movie looks bad, you know? It looks
For how
really
big
bad.
that camera is, it looks awful.
That should have been crisp. But this guy just wanted to see his genitals on crisp HD camera footage. He was ready.
Which back then was an HD like 480p probably or something like that.
480i, please. Yeah.
Man, and that dude wore the craziest bootcut jeans the entire movie. I cannot stop staring. They look like bell bottoms. Like, is this Paranormal Activity or is this like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What are you wearing? It was crazy. What else did I write? Hold on, I have a list. I had written that it looked like a pornographic film, almost like a celebrity sex tape.
Yeah. With the like weird, somewhat night vision kind of thing going on.
Exactly. I had said that it's starring a bunk Neve from MTV's Catfish. That's Mika.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought Mika reminded me of your co-host, Zach, from Have To. I don't know what it was. It was a little bit the way he spoke, but yeah, it was weird.
Is it the fact that he's a reprehensible human being?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no apologies, my man. This is your show. One thing that actually stood out to me since I saw this in theaters, and honestly, I don't think I've seen it since. I think maybe I saw pieces of it. I don't think I sat down to watch the whole thing through. But I vividly remember the fact that there was always this loud noise, this like low hum before every scary moment. So it sort of set you up to know that some pop-out part was coming, or scream, or whatever it needed to be to scare you. And it kind of took me out of the movie in the theater, even though I was scared shitless. But this time around, because I was very aware of that fact, not scared whatsoever, because I was like, I know that low hum is going to hit, and then I know that some shit's about to happen a second afterwards. So it was really weird to sit through it and be cognizant of that. My wife, who I told at the time when we saw it in the theater, had no idea. Like, she was just, dumb in the crowd, like, watching it like everybody else. And this time around, she was like, I remembered that you said it, and it ruined the whole movie for me.
Oh.
And they kept that going in every sequel. Like, they always have that low hum, which is in the subtitles, by the way. It says low hum. So
no
stupid.
way.
That's really bad.
That is so unnecessary. All right.
Yeah.
One question I had was, and I've wondered this forever, and I feel like, Ken, you're the trivia man. You read deeply into these things. You had to have gotten deep into this universe. How did they film the sleeping sequences? Those like weird, you could tell it's like, it is an extended period of time because they're laying and they shift. And it looks like, those, I took a picture of my face every day for 18 years, and you see them like,
Yeah,
I mean, that's not good for an audio podcast, but like, jittering around in place. But they do that like in their sleeping poses. Did they legitimately film themselves sleeping?
I don't have an answer, but I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it, because it's very convincing. She doesn't move a lot. She kind of rocks back and forth when she's standing there watching him sleep, but he moves around like a lot and looks to be like very much fast forwarded. So yeah, I mean, maybe they did. It's super low budget. I don't know how else they would have done it.
It's kind of awesome if they did that. I'd kind of give them a couple more points on that 0 to 10 scale if they actually filmed themselves sleeping.
I hope so.
What is the best part of the film for you two?
When she gets shot at the end.
Which no one has seen except for you.
Yeah.
And anybody that watched it on Ken's
loud.
Plex.
And anyone who just
Laughed
like looked
out
up
loud.
the alternate endings on YouTube.
True. YouTube people.
Which is what I did after I finished. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think one of the more effective things for me when I saw it in the theater was the Ouija board when they left. And the planchette moves around and it lights on fire.
The lighting on fire was a nice touch.
Yeah. I don't know how they did that either. I was thinking about that too. Like, I wonder how they triggered that, but because you see him moving it around right before they leave. Anyway, yeah, I think that was one of the more effective things. And then the ending got me in the theater. Now I think it's really cheesy and the CGI is bad and the sound that they make at the very end is underwhelming. Yeah, I don't know. What about you, Zach?
I love that you take it seriously. Every time I ask a question, you should know that it's a gag. My favorite part in the entire film is when Mika takes the audio off of his camera footage and then edits it in Audacity. Because I'm recording this fucking podcast in Audacity right now, and I fucking love that Audacity and is in one of like the most, famous money-making shitty horror films of all time. Like, shout out Audacity. 10 out of 10 software. Love it.
That's I noticed his other computer screen had like red and green text in some like command prompt type window. It was just like, that's not a fucking, no one does, that's not anything. It's like, this is just for the movie. You can just show a regular computer. Why do people have to like act it like, just show a desktop? What's wrong with that?
God.
So weird. The only other thing of note, I think, is, I wasn't scared, but it gets you at times. Like, I didn't remember what happened in certain sequences, but we had to chop this up in between 2 nights. And the reason being is that, we're laying in our basement, pitch black, trying to, get the spooky element on, because it's spooky season, 10 out of 10 gourds season. And it's one of the intense scenes, got that low hum going. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Something scary could happen. It went dead silent, and out of nowhere, I just hear, Mommy.
Oh, shit.
Mommy. And it was our fucking 3-year-old kid who woke up and was like, we lock him in with a gate now. And he was like sing-songing her name. And I almost had diarrhea. Like, the movie is not scary, but my human child was scary. Was not expecting that. Our hearts dropped right into our anuses, and we, sprinted upstairs, and we're like, some shit's happening, some spooky stuff is afoot. Luckily, nothing was afoot. He just woke up from
he was
sleep, and he was afoot, and he needed to... Probably. But he also just really needed clarification that it was not raining outside, which it was not. So that was that. Was not expecting a scary moment from my kid in the midst.
Yeah, that's great timing.
All right, well, you guys want to do some trivia? Because
Yes.
it's time for...
Hey, did you know that?
That's right. For new listeners, this is the part of our show where we pit our guests and CJ head-to-head to see who knows the most about what we watch. Zach, CJ, are you two ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right. First, spooky question. How long did filming last for this movie?
Well, if our theory is correct and the sleeping scenes were real time, that's got to add some hours. A month?
Okay.
I have
Zach?
no idea.
Is it Price is Right rules? How are we doing this?
Just closest.
Yeah, 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks is closer. It was only 10 days, though.
Dang.
Whoa,
Yeah.
good for them.
Yeah, they really cranked it out.
Yeah, and there was still plenty of fat to trim off, too, so it sounds like they shot for too long.
All right. Well, so given that, how much did Katie and Mika originally receive for their performances?
Oh, boy. I have no idea. But this was like,
5K.
yeah, I was going to say 10,000.
Zach, you're closer. It was only $500.
Wow.
Holy shit, for real? They gave it their
Yeah.
all for $500. I take back everything I said. Mika, 10 out of 10 guy. He was really giving it his all in his boot cuts. What happened to Oren Pelly? I know you get deep into these people that make these movies, because I do as well. It's like you get sucked into the... I remember Oren Pelly made an Area 51 movie, and it was like an IMDb, coming soon, in production, post-production, and then I never heard about it again. So I never saw it. I think it rolled out, years later. I'm fairly certain it had to be total shit. But
Well, I heard he
just
got abducted by
completely faded.
aliens. So
Maybe that's it.
works.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah, no, he fell off the face of the earth, as far as I know. I'm not sure what happened.
That makes
I'm
sense
gonna have to
now
watch
that
that
I
movie.
go back and... Yeah, maybe we should.
Next question. This movie filmed for just $15,000 and was purchased by Paramount for $350,000 and then went on to make $193 million worldwide, which makes it the second most profitable film ever made based on return on investment. What is the first most profitable film made based on return on investment?
Clerks.
Okay.
I'm kidding. It's definitely not.
Dude, that's
Clerks.
actually not a horrible guess.
I mean, that's not a
I know it
that's
was
not
a
bad
super
guess.
low budget, but I don't think it made a ton of money in the theaters. It's kind of I don't think most people have seen that.
Whoa, this is a cool question, Ken. Savage. Love it. Can I say Blair Witch? I'm probably wrong, but I'm going Blair Witch.
Blair Witch is correct. Yeah, the Blair
Hell
Witch Project. Yeah, it's wild. I think I said something wrong
How much did that
last
make?
week. I don't know. I don't have that. But they bought that for nothing. I know they bought Blair Witch for nothing and then made, millions and millions of dollars on it. So,
Dude, $193 million for a $15,000 shit movie. Hold on, did Mika and I forgot her name. What's her name? Because her name is her real name. The movie name is her name, Katie. Did Mika and Katie get money? Did they get a little bit of scratch at the end of this thing? Or did they just go home with 500 bones and see this thing explode? Can you imagine?
They were able to renegotiate something better. I don't know what, but once it blew up, they were able to get some more, which is good.
That's good.
That would have sucked.
Have they
if
made
just
anything
were like,
else?
Fuck.
Is that going to be a...
Yeah, right. Katie's in Paranormal Activity too. You know that.
Of course I do.
Yeah. All right, true or false? Jason Blum was a producer on this film and used the profits to launch Blumhouse Productions.
True. Haven't got one right, so let's go for it.
That just means absolutely nothing to CJ. Is that? I really didn't know that. If that is true, I'll say true as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but it is true. Yeah. Apparently, he worked for some studio and passed on the Blair Witch Project and always regretted it. And so when he had the opportunity to be a producer on this film, he took it and cashed out big time, and now has like the largest production company for horror in the business, which is wild.
True, and he makes some of the worst ones of all.
Sure, yeah. Still makes money, though. I don't know.
True.
All right, next question. And CJ answers first, because I think Zach may know the answer, but there's no way CJ does, so I want to see what his answer is. What is the demon's name?
Do they name it? Is it Diane?
Not in this movie.
Oh. Great. Diane.
I like it. Zach, do you know?
No, I wish I knew. I could tell you that my demon in Diablo, the game on my phone, is named Frank. So I'm going to go with Frank.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, it's not Frank. Have you seen the other Paranormal Activities?
Ken, you know me. Of course I've seen every single one of them, even the garbage one that they put out on Paramount Plus or whatever this past year.
That's
we even
right.
talked
and
about that,
we
I
talked
think.
about that, yeah. The demon's name is Toby.
I do remember that. That's so stupid.
It is. Apparently it's short for, like, Tobit or some bullshit. I don't know. It's whatever. I just think it's funny. His name's Toby.
That is hilarious.
That is very funny.
Okay. Canonically, to the rest of the series, how does Mika die in the end of this film?
I haven't seen the rest of the series.
I know.
Is this a question for me?
Yeah, well, it's for both of you.
He gets tossed out a window.
Okay.
Man, I really don't remember. But on Amazon
it's not an
Prime,
easy one.
No, I was like, what has Mika been in since this? So I clicked his name because, like, you know, when there's a scene of a movie, they show the actors and characters that are present in it. And I clicked his name, and it said that he was in this Paranormal Activity and another one.
The marked ones.
The marked ones, which I don't remember a single thing about other than I liked it. And people talk shit on that one when it came out. And I thought it was pretty good at the time. I have no idea if it stands the test of time, but I liked it then. So he's shown in that. And I know there was a connection to this house. There was like a weird portal. So he's got to like come through a portal and then he gets killed or something. It's got like was he like kind of alive after she like chewed on his neck and then he went through a portal?
I mean, no. But
there's some shit, there's some shit with the house, right? Or like that one closet.
Once I answer the question, I'll fill you in on what actually happened. But Katie stabs him in the back, and you actually see it happen in the marked ones because the main character goes through some portal and ends up in their house at the moment that Katie walks down the stairs and starts screaming. She actually sees the guy from the marked ones and then starts screaming for Mika. And then Mika runs downstairs and it's like, wait, what? Why the fuck are you here? Or he says, what the fuck, looking at the guy. And then Katie comes up behind him and stabs him.
Whoa.
So, yeah, it's kind of wild that, like, 5 movies later, they show
tied it back.
that ending. Yeah.
I like that.
I just got goosebumps. I feel like I got to go back and watch the Mark ones now. See? That's like a killer movie.
I watched a bunch of YouTube videos after I finished watching this, and they had this cool like sync up of the original ending or the theatrical ending to the first movie and the footage from the marked ones, and they tied it together perfectly, and it looks really cool. So I would recommend looking that up.
That's great. Wait, did they really time it? Like the actual movie itself to line up perfectly to where you could just clip them together and see it in the same timeline.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm going to have to deep dive on YouTube videos for Paranormal Activity. This sucks. I don't want to leave here and go do that, but I'm going to have to.
You're going to have to, because the next question is in the original ending, not the two that we've already discussed. What happens to Katie? I realize you two don't know, but just take a guess.
Oh, I think I might remember, because when CJ started telling his version, she walks in with a butcher's knife. I'm fairly certain she takes it to her own neck.
That's correct. And you're just going to get the point because there's no way CJ knew that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dude. But I remember reading that. I would never have remembered that unless CJ told me his ending. But that's a scary ending. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that is, I think better than the alternate. The alternative one that CJ you saw is the worst.
It was really bad.
Yeah. The other two are better.
It felt like it was an extra 15 minutes. The way you were explaining, I was like, that's a lot of movie to have
It's
chopped
significantly
out.
longer. It's significantly longer.
It takes forever just for the cops to even get up the stairs. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Check just Jesus. It's not that big of a house. Come on.
Dude, that house is kind of big, though. She's a student. Come on. Why do they have 4 bedrooms?
The 20-somethings to be able to, move in together into a house with just dating. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Guys, how much wood is in that house? This movie feels dated just by, the setting. It's so early thousands. It's incredible.
But I will say,
so
for
much
the early
thick wood.
thousands, their TV is gigantic.
Their TV
it's
is
the
gigantic.
size of the entire wall.
When I was watching this with Meg, she couldn't stop commenting on their furniture and their cheetah print rug. It's ridiculous.
Crazy. And he was wearing it was the shirts that you would buy to go out to bars as we were freshmen in college. You know, like from Kohl's. It was a button-down shirt, but thick vertical lines, brown, with a lighter yellow stripe. It's just so disgusting. But he was wearing it proudly with his bootcut jeans.
Oh, boy. 2014. All right. CJ, how are we doing on points?
I think you know the answer to that.
All right.
I got
this is
one
probably the last
right.
question. Yeah, okay. Probably last question. What is the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter score in percentage, closest without going over? This is the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Zach, since you're way in the lead, you go first.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what I answer here, so it feels nice.
Sure doesn't.
However, I truly don't know. And I feel like CJ always sees it on the Plex or whatever you're watching it on. So if you don't get this right, you have made a huge mistake.
What did I literally said before we started recording? I always forget that this is a question, even though it's asked every single episode.
It could you must have seen it, so it could subconsciously have sunk in.
I'm telling you, I have not seen it. I truly have no idea.
Okay.
I really can't remember if it was liked. I know it was giant. It was very popular at the time. Obviously made $193 million. I'm going to go with 68.
Okay. CJ?
69. Nice.
CJ, you're closer, but it's 83%, which is pretty good.
Dang.
Right?
It is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For this.
But Zach, that makes you our winner. Congratulations.
What a lackluster announcement for my win. It didn't even feel good, Ken.
Yeah! Does that help?
That felt worse.
What do you guys think? What do you think the audience score was?
78.
I was going to say back down to probably what you said, 67.
57.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I'm
that was at
surprised.
the time or if it's overtime. You know, people are dipping back and wait a minute, this movie blows. And then they
it's gotta be
rescore
overtime.
it low.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Cool. Well, I think it might be time for our ratings then.
Ratings.
Zach, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Paranormal Activity for you?
Man, you guys know that I'm a 0 to 10 human being, but this is a straight 5 out of 10. This is just not good.
Yeah.
But still has a place in my heart. And I remember the moment of being in that sweaty room with a million people, loving every second of it. but it was not as good in my sweaty basement as my son was screaming for us.
Mommy. That is chill.
Wow, yeah. I'm glad you split the difference there, because I'm of the same mind. Like, I don't know. I mean, it was a 10 out of 10 after I saw it in the theater, but now it's not. But it like is so visceral in my mind. Is like one of the scariest things I ever saw, but it's also not. So I don't know what to do. I got to think about it. CJ, why don't you go?
For me, I was also going to give this a 5. It sucked for the majority of the movie. It was pretty boring. There's like 3 scary parts at the end when it finally got good in the last, 10 minutes. It's a lot of filler of just them bickering and having fights, and didn't need to see most of that.
Oh, shit.
Is that enough time?
I'm going to give it a 6.5, I think.
Of course you would.
Which pains me, because I've like told many people that this is the scariest thing I've ever seen, but it's not. Well, I guess it is, right? Because it did scare me the most out of anything I've ever seen. So it is still the scariest thing I've ever seen. It just is no longer. I don't know.
Ooh,
it's weird.
You're taking it and twisting it. Now I have to think about that. So the scariest thing to me, like if someone's like, "Hey man, what's the scariest thing?" The scariest movie you've ever seen. I go Hereditary every time. But I could also think back to the sweaty theater of Paranormal Activity or Insidious with Darth Maul. You know what I mean? Like maybe it is the scariest thing you saw at that moment in time.
Right.
Not like, the most up-to-date scary movie that scared the shit out of you.
I don't know. Give me a new look on what I say is the scariest thing now. But yeah, interesting. It was definitely fun revisiting this because, I don't think I've seen it in forever. I did watch it once more after I saw it in the theater, but that was forever ago. So, yeah, thanks for coming back on, Zach, and for picking this. This was a great conversation about this movie that has definitely aged in an interesting way, I feel like.
What a lackluster way to close out this program. You hated this chat, didn't you, Ken?
How do you want to close it out, Zach?
Dude, I don't know. I just like chatting with you guys. I'm getting two I'm getting 2 scary movie tattoos.
Ooh, what are you getting?
I feel like that's relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you getting?
And they are?
One for the Addams Family and one for Hereditary.
Oh.
I gotta know the Addams Family one.
It's so fucking dumb. I'm getting a
Cousin It,
I love
Cousin
it,
It.
but
Yeah.
I wish it was Cousin It. Just my whole
the
back.
hand?
Ooh, love thing. It's you've seen the Addams Family from the 90s, right? The classic.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did one of them, Family Values.
Oh, that's true.
We did Family Values, yeah.
With the mustached baby. Yeah, love it.
Yes.
I'm getting so in the first one, Morticia is cutting roses, but instead of cutting the thorns and the stem, she's cutting the actual rose off of the flower and then putting the stems back into the vase. So I'm getting Morticia's like creepy hand with the scissors cutting the stem, and my sister is getting her hand holding the stem. So it's like a
that's
joint.
awesome.
A sibling tattoo, So like I'm
Nice.
Wow.
and she's the other.
Cool.
Yeah, and then for Hereditary, I'm getting the pigeon with a crown, like just the head though.
That's
like the
great.
chopped off head.
Nice. CJ,
Can't wait.
you get that right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. The pigeon. Love that guy.
Maybe next
He's the
week.
king.
He's the king. Yeah. Cool. That's
Hail
awesome,
payment.
man. You'll have to show us those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just trying to gloat. I just thought it would be like kind of interesting to raise on your spooky Halloween episode of your program. However, it seems like you just want to go to sleep. We're just gonna get out of here. It's the weekday. Like, it's the middle of the week. Nobody wants to be up. You guys are used to recording podcasts when old people get dinner, and I've kept you up late.
It's Overtalking After Dark.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna go to sleep after this, but
I'm definitely getting ready for bed. Yeah.
Me too, man. I'm beat. I'm talking shit, but like I don't really mean it.
I know. Well, thank you, Zach, for coming back on. I genuinely enjoyed this. and I hope you at least didn't hate it as much as you make it sound like you did.
Oh, no, I loved it. But looking at CJ's face, like CJ would rather be anywhere in the world. He'd probably want to go deep sea diving with sharks rather than do any of this.
Well, that's probably the true for every episode this month.
Yeah, maybe.
This is
Valid.
CJ's favorite
But also,
month.
like, anytime I come on your show, CJ never looks excited to see me. Like, always angry to be in my presence. And I don't know why. He's got like a fresh mohawk. He looks fucking
that's
fresh,
just the
but
way
he hates my
looks.
guts.
I got a haircut today. Thank you.
Dude, it looks great. But you do hate me.
you.
And I'm going to leave it at that. And you close your own show
don't.
out now. Bye.
I have a resting grumpy face. Like my neutral look, it looks like I'm pissed.
Dude, you're pissed. I can tell. I know when you're fake pissed and real pissed.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Zach, do you have anything you want to plug at the end here?
Have2podcast.com.
All right.
Big fan.
CJ, what do we got?
You can follow us on all the things at Overtalking Pod. Call or text us at USAC at 1591. Go to our website, overtalkingpod.party. You can type in the word Zach, find all of his previous episodes. Email us at overtalkingpod@gmail.com.
Oh, no, they're here. That's right. It's the seasonally appropriate Overtalking Overlords. They show up at the end of every episode to remind me to remind you. If you like the show, please go on Apple Podcasts and rate and review. Reviews will help people find this podcast. Also, we spend any money in advertising, so if you like the show, please tell a friend and spread the word. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And they're gone. And as we always say, you're too cute to be angry. Right?
Bye. Right?
Ah! Oh my god! This episode of the Overtalking Podcast was edited by CJ, produced by Ken and CJ. This week's special guest was Zach from the Have To Podcast. Music by Justin Peters. Logo by Nate Richards. Check out Nate's work on Instagram at Nate Richards Designs.